Is there such a thing as white privilege? Is it real? Or is it just something that's made up? I'm going to try and answer this question, or at least reflect on it. And I'll start by playing you a couple of videos.
Illegal immigration is a farce.
What do you call it? What do you call it? Undocumented?
Government. It's an imaginary line.
I dare you to cross the Canada-United States line.
White man, how dare you? How dare you?
That was kind of racist.
I'm a privileged white man too. But you know what I'm doing?
You just called me a privileged white man.
You cannot be racist to white people because white people are the dominant race in this country. Full stop.
You were calling me privileged when you don't know anything about me. I could have grown up in Section 8 housing.
This is privilege.
Okay, all right. Tell me this. Tell me this. Tell me this. Tell me this. Tell me this.
Privilege.
Did you see the way he did that? All this whiteness. What do you make of that? Did you find that as odd as I did? All this whiteness, this privilege, this superiority. That's certainly how it comes across to me. What about you? Do you not find that there's a certain smugness in that his white skin or pink skin, because my skin is as white as his. You could say that the Chinese are the whitest people on the planet. But yeah, the fact that his skin makes him inherently privileged or superior. That's how it comes across to me. What about you? And I do understand that this thinking can come from a place of good intentions for many. But I also feel that there are a lot of people who walk around with this white savior complex, mostly liberal, leftist, Democrats, whatever you want to call them, who just don't seem quite as well intentioned. And I'm going to talk to you a bit more about that in a minute, but let me play you another clip.
I just want to throw this out there real quick. People that believe in white supremacy or white privilege, especially white people, are the most racist people in America. You know why I say that? Is because for you to believe in white privilege means that you think you're better than black people. You think when you look around and you see a black man that somehow every white person is better than that black man. Every white person had an advantage over that black man. That black man don't have a daddy. That black man can't get an ID. That's what y'all think. Y'all think we walking around, 40, 50 years ago. What are y'all talking about, white privilege? Man, white people can't do nothing more in this country than a black man can do. The only difference is they done trick black people into believing that, and therefore black people stunt themselves, and white people don't have to do a single thing.
Again, it's that sense of smug superiority among so many of the woke, virtue signaling activists who push this race theory the hardest, that they are inherently privileged because of their whiteness. So when they look at a black person or a yellow person like myself, they see us as underprivileged or oppressed or somehow inferior. That might not be their intention, but that is how it looks to a lot of us. And it's also the feeling I get when I'm attacked by these people, the ones who lash out at me when I say that I don't personally feel oppressed or underprivileged or inferior in any way because of my skin color. They really hate that. So I'm now going to play you one more clip on that subject.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling.
This is something that Malcolm X always maintained, that the person you have to be most wary of is the liberal white savior. And I would totally agree with that. But it's not to say that all white people who support anti-racism cannot be trusted. He's talking about a certain type of person. It's the ones who hide behind this cloak of virtue signaling to hide their own racism. Because what he's doing is comparing and contrasting the outright racists who we more often associate with the right, or conservatives, or Republicans, or MAGAs, or whatever you want to call them. The people who don't hide their feelings about race, versus the ones who have those same feelings but pretend that they don't, and they hide behind this veil of virtue signaling wokeness. And it's not necessarily to fool us ethnics into believing that they are our friends, but it's more about looking good among their own group, because they're being judged first and foremost by their peers. Because I don't think a lot of those people even care what us non-whites think about them. They care more about their peers and whatever advancement opportunities they might get in life as a result of their correct way of thinking. It comes from a selfish place of wanting to be perceived as a good person for the benefit of their own advancement. That's what he's talking about, those people. And again, it's not to tar all woke white anti-racists with this same brush, but to be able to distinguish between the ones with good intentions, the well-meaning people who really do care about us. And I say us collectively as ethnics, even though I don't feel that I'm at all affected by the same issues that black people face. And many people would agree with that, because we Orientals today are often called white adjacent, because we're perceived to be benefiting from white supremacy because of our adjacency to white people, because we are also light-skinned, and because we are high achievers who do well in this white supremacist system. That's the thinking, that is the accusation that woke anti-racists often hurl at us East Asians. So yeah, I think it's important to be able to distinguish between those who really do have your back and those who don't genuinely care about you, but just want to look politically correct. Or in many cases, a sense of guilt that they don't personally have a great track record of being integrated with and engaged with the black community, or any connection with it at all. So they feel that they have to overcompensate. And I think that's where a lot of white anti-racists and Asian anti-racists too went totally overboard with the virtue signaling after George Floyd and BLM, and they all put the black square on their profile and shared resources and tried to shame everybody who didn't with the silence is violence slogan. But I feel that if you are truly connected with the black community and feel a personal kinship with people of different races in your day-to-day life, you don't need to make such an effort to display it publicly. You don't have anything to prove. All you have to do is continue living your life as you do, making meaningful connections with people and being genuine, and not having to be concerned about what people who don't know you think about you. But back to my original question of whether white privilege even exists. I think it does exist in that, yes, there are many privileged white people, but the concept of white privilege, that being white makes you automatically privileged, I don't believe in. I do think that there is such a thing as white supremacy. There are some people who believe that they are supreme because they are white. There is also Asian supremacy. It's a huge thing. A lot of us Chinese, especially in China, believe that we are the superior race. And there are a lot of Jewish people who believe that they are the chosen ones. And equally, there's Afrocentrism, which is a form of black supremacy. So what I'm saying is that supremacy exists among people of all colors. It's just a mindset with regard to celebrating your own race above others. But white privilege as a term implies that all white people are privileged. And I think that's ridiculous because obviously they're not all privileged. I'd say 1% of white people are privileged, or maybe even less. And the vast majority are not. While there is also a huge number of white people who are grossly underprivileged. And those people understandably take great offense when you assume that they're privileged just because of their skin color. Because when you look at every other aspect of their life, they're not privileged in any way. Here in the UK, if you go up north to Scotland and see the way some of their poorest communities are living, you would not believe in white privilege anymore. In fact, you don't even have to go as far as Scotland. Just go to any deprived town in the UK and look at how white people are living. There is no privilege, and their skin color certainly isn't giving them any advantages. Many will even argue that they're disadvantaged because of their skin color, because illegal immigrants who don't have white skin are benefiting from all kinds of privileges that they are not entitled to as white people. I'm not saying that there's no such thing as systemic racism, because that's what this is about, isn't it? When people talk about white privilege, they're talking about systemic racism. And I actually find it hard today to think of current examples of systemic racism. I'll be interested in hearing from you if you can give me any. But I do accept that there are deprived black and brown communities that suffer from underinvestment and lack of resources, poor education and housing and job opportunities. And I suppose you could call that systemic racism, but you could also call that classism, because I think this is a question of socioeconomics more than race, because there are also white communities that have all those same problems because they're poor. But I suppose you could argue that black people are more disproportionately poor than white people. But I don't even know if that's true. I suppose I'd have to look at statistics, which I admit I haven't studied statistics on this, but I can say with my own eyes that much of the UK is made up of poor white people who come from underprivileged backgrounds, who didn't have a great education and don't have great job opportunities, even in as far as the way they speak, their accent, because they didn't go to a good school. They don't have great opportunities. They don't have the same opportunities as those who grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth of any color. Because we do have a lot of very wealthy people from ethnic minorities here in the UK who are very successful, which again goes against the narrative of white privilege. We have a lot of very high achievers. In addition to us Orientals, a lot of the high achievers here in the UK are South Asians, Indian people, and the Nigerian community is also very upwardly mobile. We have a lot of highly educated, successful Nigerian people here in the UK. So that's Britain. And if we look at the US, huge swathes of America are populated by poor white people, underprivileged white people living in the Rust Belt, a lot of whom don't have access to the same opportunities as us privileged people of all different skin colors. I consider myself privileged, yet I've had so many woke anti-racists attack me over the years since I've been speaking about this on social media, telling me that white people will never accept me. For example, when I've said that I don't feel oppressed in the UK because of my skin color, I don't feel that Chinese people are hated in the UK. I don't feel that being Chinese has limited my opportunities in any way. And in fact, I feel that my Chineseness has helped me in many ways, because there are many positive stereotypes about Chinese people and our work ethic and our intelligence that I think have benefited me. But these people attack me and tell me that I'm wrong because they want to put me in my place and insist that I'm inferior. And they often do it with these exact words: white people will never accept you. And whenever I hear that, I can't help thinking that what they're saying is that they, as a white person, will never accept me. Because how can they speak for all white people? You can only speak for yourself. I can't speak for all Asians, or all Orientals, or all Chinese people. I can only speak for myself. So when you as a white person tell me that white people will never accept me, I hear that as you will never accept me because you are racist. So here's my tip for you. If you're one of those woke anti-racists who wants to appear politically correct and wants people to think that you've got our back, stop saying white people will never accept us. It doesn't sound good, because 99% of white people accept me and love me. I feel so much love from white people every day. Thousands of you, hundreds of thousands of you on my socials. And in my day-to-day life, I'm treated so well here in the UK. So when you say to me that white people will never accept me because I'm Chinese, it just reflects badly on you, because it's not my reality. But what do you think? Is there anybody out there listening to this who's also been told that white people will never accept them? Or are there any white people listening to this who agree with that sentiment? Or do you accept everybody regardless of their skin color and only judge others by their actions, like Martin Luther King? And have I upset some of you? Do some of you out here believe that white privilege is a real thing, and that regardless of your socioeconomic status, if you have white skin, you are somehow privileged? I'd love to hear your argument too. So do leave me a comment, and as ever, please like this video, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for listening. And if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on this subject, then check out this video too.